discrepancy whether other people. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But the guy credited. He said this vaccine, this test cannot prove
infection.
It doesn't prove causation. So in other words, you're having a response that says that you have a viral load, but you don't know what the cause of that is. You don't know what generated that. It can't prove what the illness is, or what the problem is that causes that.
Depending upon the amount of cycles that you run the PCR, I mean, you could detect like the most minute amount that is not indicative of the person being infected.
Right.
And that person will have a false positive, and there's false positives were all through the fucking roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing made no sense, and it was just designed to push a vaccine that they profited off of massively, and I hope we learn. I hope next time things roll around, people are a lot more hesitant to just jump in and believe this shit.
Well, already they were coming up with additional vaccines for this or that, or another booster, and people were like, no. So I think people have already started to question the validity of things. You know?
Well, I think this pandemic and the response and the mandates and all that shit, it ruined people's faith in, first of all, the mainstream media. I think the mainstream media took the biggest hit out of anybody. Like the trust in the television shows and the newspapers that are supposed to be delivering the truth is at an all-time low.
Well, I hope you're right.
Oh, I think I'm right. I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, the ratings are down on every fucking show there is. Newspapers, no one wants to buy them. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, CNN is fucking no one's watching it anymore. MSNBC is a ghost town. No one's watching these shows because they're all just lying. They're still lying. They're lying constantly. And now they're lying about the Department of Government Efficiency. Before they were lying about pandemics and vaccines. It's not really the news. You know, if it was the news, they wouldn't be paid for by the pharmaceutical drug companies. You can't have the fucking news sponsored by the people that you're supposed to be reporting on, and then you never report on them. That's just crazy. Yeah.
Well, also that whole trusted news initiative.
Yeah.
You familiar with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk to Bobby and everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Trusted News Initiative is just like, okay, we won't. Like I'd send a YouTube video that I just got to someone else, and by the time it gets to them, they're like, it won't let me watch it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why? You know, misinformation. But isn't misinformation also information?
Yeah.
You know? It's like, how can you term it misinformation, and what are your criteria that allow you to call that misinformation?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping people have learned, but it was a weird time, an educational time though. It was a good experience for some people to learn that, like, hey, like, there's sources that you cannot trust. And I think now the beautiful thing about someone like Elon buying Twitter and turning it into X and having community notes is now you have a way of fact-checking things where people use the community notes and they start posting studies in the community notes and saying, no, this story's not true. Here's why it's not true. Here's why it's provably not true. You know? So this is the best way to handle misinformation. It's not leave it up to government censors.
Yeah.
You know, and that was where everybody was going in 2020. It was just fucking crazy.
But those weren't government censors. Those were the mainstream media censoring themselves.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
at the behest of government, but also at the behest of big pharma. You know?
Yeah. When we found out that the government was actively contacting social media companies and having them remove things that were true, because there was malinformation. Did you know that term?
I haven't heard that before.
There's misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Malinformation is true, but could have a detrimental effect on society. true information that can have a detrimental effect on society is malinformation, and that all should be censored.
God.
It's Orwell.
Wow.
It's right out of 1984. It's crazy.
I feel so Orwellian, just the time we've gone through and the time we're in. It feels extremely Orwellian.
It's very weird. It's a weird time, but I'm optimistic.
I want to be optimistic because I think cynicism is the worst disease of old age. You know, once you're cynical, you are fucked, man.
Yeah.
Like it
it
infects every part of your being, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you stay very positive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you seem like nothing can stop you.
I try to stay positive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm affected like everybody else is. You know, I was down during the pandemic. It bothered the shit out of me. But we came through it on the other end, and I think people have more resolve now. I think generally the general public has, at least a good percentage of the general public has a healthy distrust now for bullshit.
Certainly your listeners.
Yeah.
Now, but after that Robert Malone thing happened, I was really curious. I was wanting to contact you, and I didn't. But I was just curious how, because man, I never seen anyone take more body blows. But I gotta say, it was cool. They were like stood behind you. Is it Spotify?
Yeah.
Spotify was like.
Well, fortunately, they're not American. It's not an American company. You know.
Oh.
Yeah. They're in Sweden.
Where are they from?
Sweden. Yeah. So they're like, we're not buying it. Also, the show was big enough where they were like, why would we pull this thing off the air? Let's hang in there and see what happens. And it just kept getting bigger. And so they were realizing that the people were basically on the side of free distribution of information. And they didn't buy it. But there was two guys, Peter McCullough and Robert Malone. Those are the ones. And then there was like some fucking...
Oh, yeah, Peter McCullough. Boy, he took a lot of hits.
He
big
did.
time during...
Most published doctor in human history in his particular field of study. I mean, he's a well-respected, rock-solid, credentialed...
And it was one of his videos I tried to send right after I got it. I tried to send to people. No.
Yeah.
They were so quick. I've never seen such quick... censorship or editing, almost impressive,
It was creepy. What was it like in Hollywood having your perspective, your healthy distrust of what was going on, where everybody was sort of in lockstep with whatever the government propaganda was?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I don't know how many sets you visited, but everybody was like, in masks.
Mm-hmm.
And then there'd be different zones.
Yeah.
And then, you get, the closer you get to the actual set where the shooting is, and then that red zone, people, put your mask on. And I was just like, I never bought it. And I never bought it from the beginning. I'm just like, this doesn't feel right, all right? I'm supposed to wear a mask, but I haven't been, now at this point, right now, I haven't been sick in 8 years. Right? Well, back then was 6 years. But it was just like I knew, well, no, I'm doing the math. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it had been a long time since I'd been sick. And I'm like, I don't feel like I need to wear a mask. So I would just not wear a mask, But everybody else on the set's wearing a mask, which is very discomforting because, you can't even relate to people so well without seeing their face.
It's very weird. It was very weird.
Very strange time.
Yeah, the strangest. And it didn't make any sense. And there was also this narrative that if you weren't vaccinated, the virus was going to hunt you down. They keep saying that. The virus will find you. If you're not vaccinated, the virus will hunt you down. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's so funny. I did a video. Oh, I wish I had it with me. But, maybe Ilya's out there, my assistant. Maybe she could pull it up for you.
Is it online?
I did, no. But I did, it's 11 seconds. Yeah, she's listening. Hopefully she'll look at it. But it's like, I inhale and hit a pot, right? And then I put on my mask.
And blow it right through the mask.
And I exhale. And it just comes out every, right? and every exhale, and by
Yeah.
the way, hundreds of times heavier than like a virus.
Right.
Right? So viruses don't just, what's the concept that people have, for people saying, trust in science, very unscientific concepts.
Yeah.
And Fauci, anyway, in the beginning, was like, no, we don't need to wear a mask. And then
Yeah.
someone said, no, you do. Oh, we do. We should wear a mask. And, yeah, so silly, that mask, man. Just something about it felt like, it was just like Big Brother won.
Yeah.
Big Brother won.
They won a battle, but I
They
think
won a battle.
ultimately that's what's gonna cost them the war. I think
Well,
the
what do you
lessons
think?
learned
What do
from
you
that.
think Bobby's going to be able to? Think he'll be able to accomplish anything?
This episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Let's talk about subscriptions. It seems